Trump's media turmoil, the predator has a sex predator. The passing of Burt Reynolds, Jeffrey Owens is occupation shamed, the Polymega is announced, and in a Patreon exclusive, you're not going to want to miss this, my personal bout with Twitter trolls this week. Hey, I have a lot to complain about, so let's do this.
The recently canceled podcast with Dawn Fry.
Hey, how goes it? So, just last night, I did some stand-up comedy for the first time in a couple months. This was just a little open mic, 5 minutes, and it's actually not something that I recorded because I'd done the bit previously, and you could check that out on the channel here. It's my Fortnite bit, but spiced up a little more adult, edgier comedy in it. Got an excellent response with the, it was mostly 20-somethings in the crowd. A lot of feedback during it, like, mentioning the Fortnite stuff, and people are sounding off about their Fortnite, and overall, very strong bit. I may continue working with that so long as Fortnite is popular. Cutting to the topics of the day. So Donald Trump this week has had some media issues. He generally does. He's in a war against the media, and the media is out to prove that they can beat him. They're turning all forces against him where they can, except for possibly Fox News, who sees the benefit of getting viewers who align with the president. So you got this guy, Bob Woodward. He is putting together a book on the president, and it's called Fear. Yeah, that sounds like it's going to be totally nonpartisan, right? Well, he calls up Donald Trump, gets a hold of him, and is like, hey, I wish I could talk to you about the book. And yeah, I heard some of the conversation. I read the whole transcript. And this guy has an assistant who does transcripts of all of his calls. He records everything. And in doing this, it gives the sense that you're thorough. So that whenever you put your spin or your slant on it, or you present things in a certain way, you can back it up with some kind of evidence and then make yourself feel better, right? So he's like, hey, I didn't get to talk to the president about this book. I've been writing books about a lot of presidents and all, and, well, it's just unfortunate I couldn't get a hold of you. And Donald Trump's like, well, hey, I think you're a fair guy, but, I never heard that you try to call me, okay? It's like, well, I've talked to several senators, and Kellyanne. Oh, Kellyanne's here. Hey, Kellyanne, did you try to talk to him? Like, Kellyanne's coming under fire for having not brought this up to the president. And then it's like, oh, well, this Lindsey Graham, he said that he talked to you. Nobody talked to me. Yeah, Lindsey talked to me once, but it was just a little thing, not a big deal. I didn't think of anything of it. It went away. But hey, sorry, nobody talked to me. It's this weird sense of the president's men keeping the president away from men. It's like, hey, look, we know Donald's going to shoot off and say something bad, but does that affect him? It honestly doesn't. So you may as well let him speak to whoever. And sorry about any noise you're picking up over here. There are some kind of aerial acrobatic shit going on outside. I heard a lot of weird whistling in the sky. It's odd that the planes are taking off but making a whistling sound. I don't think there's a show going on, but it's way more plane activity than typical. I do live closest to an Air Force base. Well, I'm in the splash zone, let's put it that way. So this is an odd circumstance where we have the president's handlers trying to decide for him who he needs to talk to, even though he can say pretty much anything and it doesn't actually have a negative effect on him. It may actually look worse that he's being coddled in this way. Like, oh, hey, we got to keep an eye on the president like he's the mayor on Spin City, right? Very much so. Then we have this piece that comes out, an op-ed, anonymous source, uses the term lodestar, which is one that Mike Pence uses. Could this be some kind of weird way to implicate Pence as a leaker? To say that he's the one who says that the White House is coming apart, that nobody trusts the president. People are working to keep things away from him. Yeah, these sounds outside, I don't know if it's picking up, but it's kind of scaring me. Good thing I'm in a basement. So, what does Pence stand to gain from this if he's putting out more information to try and invoke, was it the 25th Amendment, where the staff can say that the president's not fit for office, and then Mike Pence gets to take over? Is this how that works? So if he has a little mutiny, and then it's like, oh, hey, the guy who leaks the information has led the mutiny and gains to prosper from this the most. Mike Pence, if he runs for president, is not closer to being president than he is right now. The vice president is as close as it gets. The vice president is closer than Hillary Clinton. That's right. There's only one guy standing in his way. There's a lot of voters standing in the way of Hillary Clinton. Now, have we come to a point, or is there a breaking point in the Trump presidency where they say, look, it's just going to be better for you to step aside, let Mike take over? It seems like things couldn't get any more infighty than they already are. And if they did, what difference would it make? Donald Trump is a brand of stubborn most people cannot reckon with. There's no way he's going to step aside. It would take treasonable offense and him needing Pence to pardon him, which I find unlikely to happen. So that's the state of the country right now. You know, and the real matter is, a lot of this stuff doesn't concern anybody. It's the media's war on Trump, so they have to try to keep every little thing he does in the news. Even if whatever he does is not that newsworthy, they know they can get their clicks, their views, their ad revenues. And so they have to build and maintain the monster. And then when they defeat him through whatever they're going to consider a defeat, that's when they get to show off how important they are. What does it matter to you and me? Not a shit of a lot. A lot of this stuff doesn't affect most people. I think most people would actually be better off staying away from the news more. Do we need all of this in our lives, making things worse for us, scaring us? Maybe not necessarily invoking fear, but another little thing to stress us out. We don't really need it, do we? We also got some news come in. It says that Shane Black's The Predator, which you're seeing commercials for right now, is almost in the can, and now they've had to cut a guy. This actor appears in some scene. They cut the scene. His name's Stephen Wilder Striegel, don't care. So he's a friend of the director and a registered sex offender. The news got out. Fox said immediately you have to cut this. You cannot question this. It's out of the film. We can't do this. Now, in the Me Too era, so I have to wonder, what was his grievous offense here? It's like, emailed his cousin, said she's hot, she's 14. As far as I know, didn't do anything to her. Gets 6 months in prison. Has since served his time, and I think this was some period back, at least 5 years. And now he's not allowed to work again. Oh, hey, you can't be in the movie? That's too bad. Oh, hey, we can't hire you at Walmart, we can't hire you at McDonald's because of this. If being a registered sex offender is the scarlet letter of today, then, and they're not allowed to function in society, then why don't we just go ahead and give a life sentence or a death penalty? Because that's where this could be heading. Are we now in a spot where we say, oh, look, you're a registered sex offender and your family's not rich and you haven't won the lottery, so I guess you have to be homeless. Your choice. Is it now? Or are there more people out there who believe that when someone has paid their debt, the deemed punishment, that they should now be reintegrated into society. Because as long as they're out here among you and I, it doesn't do us any better to further alienate them, to push them towards something darker. That's my thoughts on that. I don't usually like commenting on the passing of celebrity, but I just saw some news today that Burt Reynolds died. Now, about a year ago, I saw, hell, it could have been 2 years ago, there was an entry in my film festival called Dog Years. It was since retitled upon release, I think earlier this year, on was it like DirecTV, a VOD type service. They were calling it The Last Movie Star, a fictionalized, almost biopic of Burt Reynolds as he's shown in roles of the past, and he's inserted, he's sitting next to himself as a bandit, kind of carrying on a conversation. It wasn't very good. It got sidetracked, turned into a weird road comedy, where him and the chubby chick from Modern Family who had her boobs taken out or downsized, they have to go on a road trip for no reason, even though he was already in an interesting scenario wherein he was brought in under false pretenses to a tiny film festival as its like main attraction. But no, he spends most of the damn movie away from the film festival and just kind of gallivanting around and reminiscing with this little chick. And it's a weird-ass movie. It's not super great or all that well put together. But evidently could be his last completed film. Just recently, I'm talking like in the last week, it was said that he's going to have a part in Quentin Tarantino's upcoming Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think this is with Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. Did they say Margot Robbie, whatever her name is, got roped in there somehow so that she can put on her American accent that slips out Australian. But did Burt Reynolds even shoot for this? Which I have since learned he hasn't shot his scenes for. I don't think so. And if he has, I highly doubt he's completed the part. They could be better off scrapping him altogether. Oh, but this could be his chance at an Oscar. His last film, his Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger finished playing the Joker. It kind of makes things a lot easier. This, a whole nother scenario. And it was quite apparent in Dog Years that Burt Reynolds was not all that functioning. He looked like a skeleton. He didn't seem to have full use of his faculties. He probably couldn't really spurt out the lines correctly and, ad-libbed whatever scenes he could tolerate. I'm thinking he's going to get scrapped by Tarantino. Some other news going around. This actor, Jeffrey Owens, you may not know his name, but you might know his face. He was on The Cosby Show, and I liked him on The Cosby Show. Well, somebody had took a quick little shot, or it was a video or some photo of him bagging groceries at a Trader Joe's, and it's like, oh, look at the downfall. He's no longer an actor. This is so sad. And now people are upset at the person who shared this news. They're upset at Fox News for getting this out. It got some big media attention. Now, he's like, well, I'm not really ashamed of working at Trader Joe's. He did an interview where he left his Trader Joe's name tag on, and he says he doesn't really want anybody's charity, but he wouldn't mind getting some roles. Well, Tyler Perry has offered him a role, but Nicki Minaj now says that she's donated $25,000 to him. Oh, hey, look how cool I am. I'm Nicki Minaj. I'm on top of the world. This guy is a legend. I think she said he was a legend. Now, the guy said he doesn't want charity, but here he is getting charity from Nicki Minaj. And it's not like he's homeless. This isn't a homeless veteran. This is a guy who might be content not working in shitty movies and shitty TV shows. So now he's in this bind where it's like, well, I guess I have to make Tyler Perry's bag of crap. And Nicki Minaj basically got herself far more than $25,000 worth of publicity out of this. Yeah, hell, she probably could have spent less money. Hey, I'm giving him $5,000. Everybody, come look at me. Look at how generous I am. I'm Nicki Minaj. I don't think this guy wants your charity. I don't think that he's that infused with acting in today's crap entertainment culture. That's what I think. I liked him on The Cosby Show. I'm sure he can still act. Maybe he doesn't want to. Maybe having an actual job that helps people is more rewarding for him. I said it. Also want to talk about this Polymega console. Oh, this is a hybrid futuristic retro console. So this thing starts at, and I'm kind of confused here, and I'm going to have to look up more. I think there's more information coming out by the day, so this could be due for an update, really. Saw the trailer. You have like a base unit. You got several different kind of controllers, all similar to the type of game console you want to be playing. From the start, it's going to have, it's really a bit confusing. It's, I guess the CD drive is there, so it's going to have support for that stuff. But now you have to change the top part out, and the top part fits different cartridges. So it's like, hey, I want to play some Super Nintendo, I want to play some Sega Genesis, this kind of thing. And now you use the controller that's appropriate for that. So it's a transformer console. Now there's a lot of retro consoles out there right now with different slots in them, so you don't have to keep pulling them apart to change shit around. You know, especially now that we stuff consoles in places, you know, instead of setting them on top of something where it's easy to yank stuff out of. I don't know if this is the greatest of ideas. I think that this works by field programmable array, where it's a chip that becomes whatever it needs to be. And so this is supposed to get you the most spot-on emulation possible. There is some controversy, though. They show some Sega, is it Sega Rally, the game, footage in their little announcement trailer from the arcade version, not the Saturn. And this talks about having Saturn support. It's weird that it says it's like, and coming soon, Saturn support. So let's get our Kickstarter going without the Saturn as a thing, and then you're kind of like hoping it's going to get Saturn support. Ooh, boy, that is a bad look for you right there. Oh, yeah, and throw that on top of this. Let's not actually use the Saturn in the trailer. Oh, yeah, let's go that route. So now you really can't complain about the controller, because, yay, it's whichever controller you need, right? Yeah, you use this one. Can you plug in your old controllers? With the module, it looks like that could be the case. I'm seeing outlets that maybe line up with whatever module you're using on top there. But it's an expensive way to go about this. I guess you're getting some high definition, up-converted, good quality footage from the game here. Like, I'm assuming most of this is set up so that it works well with a modern TV, and that's why you would do this, because it costs about as much as having the actual console when that tech was new back in the day. So this is aimed at people who don't already have a FrameMeister and all the consoles they ever wanted. Are we running out of people to sell these kind of things to? Because it seems like Nintendo really hit the sweet spot here. Hey, cheap, affordable device. Okay, it's kind of rare. It gives you that good vibes, nostalgia feel. We have some games on it that are set up to run really well with our personal emulator. Good enough. Now, you can add just about anything you want that this thing can do, and not on the up and up, of course, to the Super Nintendo Classic for a hell of a lot less, and be pretty much close to as satisfied. Have you played all of those games you wanted yet? Because let me tell you, a couple of years ago, I was thinking, hey, you know what? It'd be kind of nice to get a Neo Geo cabinet. But then I played most of the Neo Geo games on my Super Nintendo Classic. And I'm like, look, there's really not a whole lot of replay value here. Okay, if you don't have a friend to be fighting with you all the time, what are you going to do? This is the problem. So, yeah, I'm not really seeing a great market for this. Not at the price they're wanting. And I feel like most people, they got their what was it, like Super NT with the wood, you know, like everybody got their unit that they wanted to do this kind of stuff for. They got their EverDrive for their console. They got their kit so they could get the SCART output. Is there room left? I don't think so. Especially not when there's promising for future stuff to add to it, right? Oh yeah, we're hoping. I'm going to buy this now and hope that it gets Sega Saturn support, even though I have other ways to play Sega Saturn. So that does it for this episode of the recently canceled podcast. Man, you guys are going to want to put in that $1 a month at patreon.com/VonFry to get access and unlock this last topic that is just too spicy for YouTube.